Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. You're joined by the Power G boys. You can see all of our Power G shirts, our matching shirts. Um, we did not mean to do that. We all showed up with these same shirts on. So I'm Bo Freeman, joined by Kevin Woodworth and Neil Jones, two of the most intelligent human beings I know, two of our amazing TAMs. And we're talking ISC West recap. We're excited that you all were able to join us here today. We're very excited for this presentation. There is a lot of exciting material coming your guys' way. But before we kind of get into the presentation, we want to take care of some housekeeping items. So first and foremost, this webinar is being recorded. So we will download this webinar shortly after we wrap and upload it to YouTube. So if you just go search the Qualys YouTube channel, you'll be able to find it. And you can share that with any coworkers that couldn't make it or reference any of the amazing things that we talk about today. The next kind of housekeeping item, we want you to find that question section. So as we go through this webinar, we want you to be asking questions, be engaged. If you're unsure of something, throw a question in there. We have Joel in the background that's going to be answering some questions. So sometimes we get a lot of questions and we're not able to answer all of them, but we will do some follow-up afterwards to make sure your questions get answered. So do not hesitate to throw a question in that little section. But right now for an exercise, I want you guys to find that question section. I want you to type in your name, where you're calling in from, and what if you have any fun Easter plans this weekend. You know, we got the holiday this weekend, so let us know where you're calling in from, and let's hear what everybody's up to. So we got Taylor is calling in from Dallas. It's great to have you here. Thanks, Taylor. I'm gonna shout some of you guys out if that's okay. We got Pat Ward. He called us the Power G Superstars. Oh, that might be our new nickname. That's our squad's nickname. Thanks, Pat. That's a great idea. Nathan Deeds calling in. Thanks for being here, Nathan. We got Mark from California, Stan Norman from Plano. Stan, I think you're in all of these webinars. It's great to see you here again. Thanks for joining us. We've got Eric from Connecticut, Joe from Central Mississippi. We got Nick from Santa Cruz. You're working on your drone this weekend. That sounds like a way fun plan, Nick. I am jealous. We got Mason City, Nathan from Mason City. Oh, you're chiming in where you're from, Nathan. Thank you. Freddie Daniels from Atlanta, Georgia. We got Samir from Connecticut. Sounds like Siri's going off. Is that me? I don't know. Sorry. We got Dawn from British Columbia. Lots of people calling in. Great. So thank you for hitting that question section. Sorry, I can't call us all out. We would be here all day, but thank you for humoring me on that. Next housekeeping item I wanted to talk about are the giveaways. So we are going to be giving away 5 IQ Remote Power Gs and 5 Black IQ Panel 4s. So to do that giveaway, we don't want to announce people's kind of information over the broadcast. So I will follow up with an email after this. I'll put everybody's name in kind of a spreadsheet, randomly select 10 winners, and then I will reach out to you guys shortly after the webinar. So watch for an email from bo.freeman@jci.com. And I'll just reach out for some information and we will get you your prizes. So stick around for the whole webinar. We need you to attend most of the webinar to qualify for one of those prizes. And now let's launch some poll questions. So if this is your first time joining us, we do these poll questions to kind of gauge where the audience is at, where you guys are, how we're doing on the presentation, those type of things, just to understand how we can better tailor these webinars going forward. So we've got some kind of basic webinars today, or polls today. Sorry, I'm nervous. I always get nervous when I do these things. So I want to know if this is your first time attending one of our webinars. So yes, or this is not your first rodeo. I'll give you guys just a couple seconds to answer this poll question. Awesome. We have some people that this is their first webinar. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. We hope it'll be extremely beneficial for you today. All right, let's wrap that poll question up. Our next question here is, are you currently installing JCI products? So are you or the company you work for currently installing our products? Very simple, yes or not yet. We just want to understand if we've got some newcomers here that are new to the products. Let's give you guys a couple more seconds to finish this poll. Awesome, awesome. Great, we'll go ahead and close that one. Thank you all for answering. We got 2 more here. And so I am a part of the marketing team. So I'm joined by 2 TAMs, but I'm a marketing guy here. So I wanted to ask you all about our dealer portal. So we have a dealer portal. It's dealers.qualsys.com. And on the dealer portal, there's a lot of really cool marketing assets there. And photography, product photography, different kind of just marketing materials to use there. So Just want to know if you're currently registered. And if you're not, I'm going to put in the chat the website, so it's just dealers.qualsys.com. If you're one of the people that answered not yet to this question, just go ahead and go there and you can click register and you can create an account, and then you'll have access to all of those marketing materials that can help you in your business and trying to sell products. So last poll question here, bear with me, we're almost done. So this question has more to do with the presentation we're going to get into today. So we will be talking about one of these products. So are you interested in a lower cost panel with many of the features you know and love from the IQ platform? So yeah, is that something that's interesting to you? Just give you guys another 10, 15 seconds to answer. All righty, awesome. Great, well, that is all we have for polls. So once again, introducing Kevin Woodworth, Neil Jones. If you're on this webinar, you probably have interacted with these two guys. They're extremely knowledgeable, you know, the best in the business right here, Kevin and Neil. Excited to hear from them. So Kevin and Neil, I'll turn the time over to you guys.
Thanks, Bo. So yeah, we're, as Bo said, we're gonna do a recap. This is a two-part webinar. So we'll be going through a lot this week, and there'll be a lot next week as well. So we hope to see everybody attending both webinars. So we had an amazing booth and turnout again at ISC West this year. We truly wish you could have all come to visit with us, but you know, you couldn't, some of you. So we'll do our best to show you everything you missed over these next two webinars. You know, what's out now and then what's coming soon. So, you know, without further ado, let's just get started. Kev?
Yeah, thanks, Neil. I really appreciate that. You may have seen on the slide earlier this graphic on one of our walls there, or you may have seen this graphic over the last year or so as we've been kind of developing this message. But this one platform message is really central to kind of the way we think about our go-to-market strategy, the way we think about the business and the marketplace in general. And you know, it really is core to everything we're doing here. And so I want to make sure everybody understands kind of how we develop this message and what it means to you and how it benefits you. So kind of the key behind this message is it's a little bit hard to see, but if you kind of look, some of these images are a little bit transparent. You see the little blue board on each of these panels, and that board is our Qualcomm chipset. That's kind of the heart and soul of our panel. And of course, we first launched this version of that board on IQ Panel 4. So if we start right in the middle of this graphic with IQ Panel 4, that's what we call our flagship panel. And that's kind of got everything, including the kitchen sink, built in. And then we had, many of you asked us for something a little cheaper. So we kind of went down market into IQ4 Hub and then IQ4 NS, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. And then it gives us the ability to also kind of go up market into IQ Pro, Pro Plus, and eventually to Pro Fire. So this one platform message is really core to what we're doing. We'll talk about each of these individual products here a little bit more throughout the day. But what this does for us is this gives us, huge leverage and scale across the board from both a manufacturing perspective, but also a software perspective. Gives us a lot of speed to market, our alarm.com integration, being able to have kind of the same components, the same programming, the same software across the board for us from a development perspective is really important. And then for you, our customers, as you go to market from an employee and a labor perspective, if any of your technicians can program an IQ Panel 4, they can program a 4 Hub, they can program a Pro. All the programming is the same across the line. All the alarm.com integration is the same across the line. Virtually all the devices work across the same across the entire line. The alarm.com integration, all the keypads work across the line for the most part. So again, you get this really great opportunity to kind of go hit different segments and different marketplaces based on the way your business is growing. Maybe today you're using IQ Panel 4, but you want to get more into different builder programs or smart apartments. Or maybe you're a residential guy using IQ Panel 4 today and you want to go up market into commercial with IQ Pro. Being able to have all those on your truck with a single sensor line is huge. So one platform, very central to our messaging, and we'll talk about the individual products that and how that works. So of course, IQ Panel 4, we're not going to spend a lot of time here today. You guys know and love this platform. We announced this 2 years ago at ISC West. It's out, it's been hugely successful. And again, this really is what I call the starting point or the baseline for our one platform message. So everything builds left or right off of IQ Panel 4, and we take away or add as needed based on the market segment we're trying to address or the price point we're trying to get down to really help you guys meet those different segments. The next one's IQ4 Hub. So this is kind of the baby brother to IQ Panel 4. And again, this was announced last year at ISC West. So 2 years ago, we announced IQ Panel 4. Last year, we announced IQ4 Hub. And what this really is this is a cost-reduced version of IQ Panel 4. So as we met with you, as we listened to your feedback, many of you said, hey, I don't need the panel camera, or I don't need dual SRF all the time. I don't necessarily use two-way voice. I don't want all 4 speakers on there. I do want to save some money in certain segments. Could you make it a little cheaper? Could you remove some things? And so that's really where IQ Panel or IQ4 Hub comes into play, giving you options to meet those different price points in your market segment with your customers. And so this we announced at ISC West last year. It took 4 or 5 months to officially launch it. It launched in October, so it's been in market for about 6 months or so, and it's doing great. And so I know a lot of you on this call here today use this panel every single day, day in and day out. But as we continue to listen to you, there were still many of you who said, hey, I still want something a little bit cheaper, or I want to go tackle a little bit different market segment. Is there anything else you can do to kind of drive some of the cost out of the product to give me the whole range of products, what I call a good, better, best, right? And really give you options for those different market segments. And so that is why we came up with this one here.
Ta-da! IQ4 NS. So NS is a very, very fancy term for, you guessed it, no screen. So we basically took IQ4 Hub and simply removed the screen. It's really that simple. All right, so that's, this obviously will reduce the cost even further. You still leverage all the, the programming settings, sensors, and devices that you use on our other IQ panels, including, PowerG, the PowerG hardwired keypads if you're using an IQ hardwire PowerG, the PowerG wire-free keypads, IQ remote Wi-Fi's, IQ remote PowerGs. And also, we are going to be releasing a new low-cost keypad as well that we will show you next week, right? So when you look at IQ4 no screen, it's everything that you've already got in IQ4, right? But I guess the first question people are going to have is, you don't have a screen, how do you program it? Well, pretty simple. You can either use IQ Installer, which is the same interface that we use for IQ Pro, for that's direct local programming, or you can obviously use alarm.com mobile tech, right? So it's consistent programming across all the IQ panels. So basically, if you can program an IQ4 and IQ4 Hub, you can program an IQ4 no screen as well. You can see it mounted on a wall, you can have it on a tabletop. Really, it's up to you on how you use no screen.
Yeah, and I'll just.
Kev? Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, go ahead. This is actually perfect. I forgot we had this, but people are saying, so I don't know. So what is it? It's really simple. It is an IQ4 Hub. It mounts to the same. It's got the same back plastic, the same guts. It's got the same everything you can do on IQ4 Hub, just without a screen, right? And then you can choose to add a screen back later. You can choose to add a rubber number pad back later. So I'll let you go through this here, Neil. But
yeah, I mean, and it's pretty simple, right? So, the first thing, IQ4 Hub, IQ4 panel have a 7-inch touchscreen, no screen doesn't. Same processor, same, LTE and Wi-Fi dual path. It is a single SRF, so it is, same as IQ4 Hub. It's PowerG or 319 or 345 or 433. So, same Z-Wave, still have the ability for Bluetooth disarming. You still have a 24-hour backup battery, takes advantage of the smart mount installation system that we introduced at IQ Panel 4. This comparison chart makes it easy. Obviously, still fully alarm.com integrated. 1 4-watt speaker versus, the 4 4-watt speakers that are in IQ Panel 4. The same siren, same number of zones, same number of partitions, user codes. Still supports our S-line encrypted sensors if you're using the 319 version. Obviously does not have two-way voice, same as IQ4 Hub. Same certifications as IQ4 and IQ4 Hub, so the same UL and ULC certifications that we already have. Oh, I guess I went too far. But so literally, it's IQ4 Hub. Well, it's IQ4 Hub without the screen. Same everything that you already know and love. All right, so one of the things that we did announce at ISC2 is the full launch, or we'll call it the general release or general availability of IQ Pro. IQ Pro, if you do not know, is the perfect commercial solution. It's 2 panels in one. So it's basically an IQ4 and a Power Series Neo, put together. It's purpose built, easy install using IQ Installer. You can get that from iOS or the Google Play Store. Same PowerG range and encryption. One of the big changes for IQ Pro, is addressable loops, right? So we've introduced addressable loops into the IQ Pro, which is basically you can run one wire around the entire building and then just tee off each individual device. So if you want to go wired that way, you can wire those devices. You can use PowerG devices. You can use regular hardwired devices. IQ Pro just gives you the flexibility to be able to, really, cater that commercial installation, to your needs, right? I mean, really, it is hybrid intrusion got upgraded. Same, you have dual path and LTE. And, one of the cool things with IQ Pro is you actually have the option for Wi-Fi or Ethernet, right? So you could have dual path LTE and Wi-Fi or dual path LTE and Ethernet, right? So there's an Ethernet port built in. What we've done, we've actually been able to increase the partitions. So on our current IQ4 Hub, no screen, it's 4 partitions. IQ Pro is 8. You still 128 inputs, and that again is a combination of wired, PowerG, addressable, whatever you're looking at, but you still have 128 inputs. And we were able to increase, especially for the commercial market, the number of users, right? So this takes us from 242 on the current panels to 1,000 users on IQ Pro. So IQ Installer, right? So, if you haven't downloaded this yet and you're going to be installing a Pro or a no screen, you should really go to the App Store. You can scan your screen, your Apple QR code is there, your Android QR code is there. This is a local install interface. You have the install wizard that you love from all of the IQ's panels, where you can just run through the wizard and and be able to learn everything in. IQ Installer lets you configure, lets you manage. And one of the things we added into it over the last few months based on feedback was the ability to test, right? So when you add Z-Wave devices, you're now actually able to test them directly through IQ Installer. So again, you can scan these QR codes. They're available on our dealers.colsys.com. There's a TSB for IQ Pro that's on there, announcing the 4.2.1N launch. So we during our early launch, we were on 4.2.0 software. This brings 4.2.1 to life, and we've been able to do a lot of those enhancements, making sure Z-Wave's on board, the ability to test it, the 1,000 users, the 8 partitions. So IQ Pro is out, available to order. Comes in plastic and metal housings. And it gives you the ability to really take the hybrid market upscale, and IQ Pro is there for you, and we'll continue to develop it. And I'll pass this off to Kev.
Yeah, in fact, Neil, go back one slide. I just thought of something kind of funny. I never really realized this together, but IQNS is a headless panel, right? No screen, and IQ Pro is a no screen panel. And you can add touchscreens to them, right? So what's the difference between IQ Pro way over here and IQNS way over here? The built-in hardwire zones, right? So that's really the only difference. So for those of you who may be thinking, I'm not so sure on IQNS, you could put it in a closet, just like you would a CAN, and add a secondary touchscreen later. Pretty interesting way to think about the marketplace. Really, again, you've got that one platform, that gamut of different panels you can use, all the way from NS up through the touch screens and then on to Pro. So I think a lot of choice there for you. Okay, ready to move on to Wi-Fi. I hope everybody has seen IQ Wi-Fi by now. We've been talking about it for more than a year. It too officially launched in last October, so it's been in market for about 6 months, and we have a lot of you out there using it on your installs. You know, when I think about Wi-Fi, you know, I like to say, you know, as security dealers, we would always control all the devices that were inside the home, right? So we would install the panel, we would own the cell radio connection. You know, even though it's on the Verizon network, that's really kind of a private connection, right? The door sensors, those are all proprietary or private protocols. You know, a customer doesn't just go buy a door sensor at Lowe's and stick it on. And even Z-Wave, where it's kind of an open standard, that's really been controlled and maintained and managed by the dealer. You pair the locks, you make sure it's working, you make sure it has enough repeaters in place to work. You kind of lock the customer out in most cases from tinkering with that so that it's reliable. And then the one thing prior to Wi-Fi 6 that we've never really been good at controlling is the homeowner's Wi-Fi, right? We would go in and we would just say, I'm going to control your entire system and control the experience and make sure it works really, really well. But then I'm going to just stick your doorbell cameras and your outdoor cameras and all this other stuff on your homeowner network that I don't control as a dealer. And I just kind of pray and hope it works, right? So we're kind of reusing what's already there that's not in our control. And that's created a lot of issues for us as an industry and us as a dealer community with our customers, making sure that you know, cameras especially are reliable and working the way they should be. And that's really the impetus for Wi-Fi 6. That's where it comes from. We thought that you should control the Wi-Fi inside the house. Now you can control all the Wi-Fi if you want, or you can control just part of the Wi-Fi if you want. But IQ Wi-Fi 6 is a Wi-Fi mesh network. Each node supports 1,500 square feet. You can add up to 8 different nodes. So point being is you can do really small installations all the way up to really big installations. It's designed if you want to run in parallel with the customer's Wi-Fi network. So maybe they already have a Wi-Fi network and you don't want to touch it. You want to just plug this into the back of theirs and run your separate network in parallel with their network. We've designed all this so that you don't get conflicts and you can do that and just kind of run it completely separate that way. But we've also designed it so that you can offer whole home Wi-Fi and a really great Wi-Fi experience in their house, whether they get that just as a bonus or whether you actually charge for that is up to you. We have customers kind of doing both. And then on the actual Wi-Fi 6 itself, you see here at the bottom, the green box, the dark blue box, and the light blue box. The router actually has 3 different Wi-Fi partitions, let's call it, or 3 different SSIDs, you know, networks. And a normal router would only have 2, right? You'd have the main network and you'd have a guest network. We have a main network, we have a guest network. The customer can mess with those networks as much as they want. They can change the password. They can, you know, add a bunch of new devices at Christmas time, and that's all good and fine. But the special sauce is that we have a separate security network where your cameras and your keypads and your panels can ride on the security partition that the customer doesn't get to see. They don't get to touch. They don't know the password to it. And so all of your devices stay connected regardless if the customer is, you know, changing the password or adding new devices to the network. And then of course, you know, the one true thing that we have that nobody else has is alarm.com integration. And that's really special because, you know, we believe if you put something in the house, you now have to own it. You have to maintain it. You have to make sure it works. And we have to give you the tools to be able to do that. So just like your panel, just like your sensors, just like your Z-Wave, where you can see all that stuff remotely, you can troubleshoot it, you can reboot it, you can rediscover the network. You need to be able to do the same with the Wi-Fi. And so we do that through our alarm.com integration, through Mobile Tech, through the ADC partner portal, and right in the exact same location where you're managing the rest of your system in that house, you can manage the entire Wi-Fi network. You can remotely reboot it. You can see the devices that are connected to it. Lots of different things that you can do from a troubleshooting and configuration perspective on the dealer side of the tool. The homeowner also gets a really great tool in their app as well, in the end user app. So if they want to pause dinner at, pause Wi-Fi at dinner time, kick their kids off the Xbox, whatever, they can do that through setting up profiles. So they get some nice end user control of their side of the network, which is pretty cool. So this has been a huge success so far. We have lots of plans for Wi-Fi in the future. But if you haven't heard of Wi-Fi 6 yet, make sure to talk to us about it. We'd love to tell you all about it.
Yeah, one
Hey,
good
Kevin.
thing on questions we've had a lot. Hold on, Bo. Question we've had a lot is on the screen or the interface on the panel. That some people don't want the customer to be able to play with that. So that is a customizable option that you can turn off the Wi-Fi dashboard. Sorry, Bo, you were going to say something?
Yeah, no worries. We just had a question that I think would be kind of beneficial to talk about right now. If the customer changes providers, how does that work? What happens?
Yeah, so this plugs right into the back of the provider's modem, right? So if they're with Xfinity today, they're going to have an Xfinity modem. This plugs right into the back of it, typically. And if they switch providers, maybe they go to some other internet provider in their area, they're going to get a brand new modem. That internet provider is going to hook the internet up at the house. You simply plug this back into the new modem, and everything comes back up and works just fine. So they can switch providers. It just hard lines into the back of the main controller, hard lines in the back of the modem, and really easy to do. In fact, one of the things we've had a lot of customers do, if you're an Xfinity customer, you're probably paying them $10 to $15 a month to rent their modem router combo. We've had a lot of dealers just use like an off-the-shelf Aris cable modem, for example. It's certified and approved by Xfinity. They install the Aris modem, tell the customer to cancel their $15 a month fee to Xfinity. They'll install their whole home Wi-Fi, and they charge the customer $15 a month of recurring revenue as a managed Wi-Fi service. And then they really manage that for the customer. So we have some customers doing that very successfully. It's net for the end user. You get a better network for your cameras. The customer gets a better experience with less dead spots. And yeah, it's been really great. Because Neil knows I hate dead spots.
He hates dead spots. That's our internal joke. If you haven't seen it, go onto our YouTube channel and look for the video for Wi-Fi 6. I don't know, Kevin, how many takes was it for the "I hate dead spots" statement?
Well, if you can't tell, I'm not an actor, so my one line claim to fame was probably like, I don't know, 15, 20 takes for one line. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so we do continually hear feedback and then listen to feedback. So for Wi-Fi 6, we are going to be releasing a new firmware update, coming closer to the end of April. It's not a big one. This is kind of a we'll call it a mid update. The big one will be 2.1. But in 2.01, we're again based on voice of the customer, based on your feedback. We've added the ability for restrictions to ensure that managed devices can't be mistakenly paused, right? So that the end user doesn't end up pausing alarm.com cameras or IQ remotes or the panel, as an example, being able to connect to the internet. So that's coming in 2.01. Same thing. We heard some feedback, so we've enhanced the way the country code and time zone settings work, making sure that in every region, every country, you're having the optimal power levels, and also the firmware update times. We did find a few routers in a few different places we're updating at less inconvenient times, like dinner time. Same thing. We based on feedback, we optimized power tables to increase Wi-Fi 6's range. We've got some enhanced device reporting, really focusing on reliability and timely reporting of the statuses of different devices, and then obviously just various other performance and reliability improvements. But again, 2.01 is, we'll call it a mid firmware. The next big or major firmware will be 2.1.0. But this is just again based on your feedback, we've just made these enhancements. All right, Kev, your favorite.
All right, yeah, my favorite water valve. So look, this is an awesome device. It's been out for a while now. We showed it at ISC West again this year. We're starting to get a lot of traction here. I think it's taken some time for some of you to adopt this device. This is a Z-Wave device. It installs in a matter of seconds. Fits right over the quarter turn ball valve that comes into the house. It can be indoor, it can be outdoor. We sell it in 2 different kits or as a standalone valve. So it can come with 2 Power G floods or 3 S-line floods. This literally is a 30-second install. One of the ways we've seen our customers use this in the field is to put this on the technician's truck and then use it as an upgrade option. Most of the time technicians have the ability to upgrade the customer while they're on site to earn some extra money or to provide some extra value. But, I was a technician for a long time. We don't want to upsell something that's going to make our own life difficult, quite frankly. This is something where you can offer a lot of value at a reasonable price and do it really quickly. So we've seen a lot of success here with the technician upgrade model. If you haven't tried this out, highly recommended. And Neil had a flood, didn't you, Neil?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and water valve, I still ended up with damage. Ironically, I had been doing some testing and I had forgot to reassociate the rules on alarm.com, so that would have saved me even more money. But having the ability as soon as I got that flood notification to be able to turn my water off remotely, I still ended up with about 14 grand in damage, but my insurance company was pretty darn happy that I was able to turn my water valve off remotely. They figure I'd probably save them another 20, 25,000 bucks in damage. So, you'll never hear me say anything other than amazing things about water valve. It's easy technology, like Kev said, no plumber needed. It's saying installs in less than 30 seconds. People think we're exaggerating. No, it's literally installs in about 30 seconds. So this is, I love water valve. You'll never hear me say anything bad about it.
Yeah, one of the interesting things for me, we go around the country, we meet with a lot of you guys, we teach a lot of classes, and oftentimes we'll ask, the class of 30 people, how many people have had a break-in? Very rarely does someone raise their hand. And then we'll ask how many people have had an issue with water in their own home. And almost always, 30, 40, 50% of the class raises their hand. So as you're thinking about the services you're offering, as you're thinking about, the things that benefit you and your customers, I just think this is something that provides a lot of value for our customers. And a lot of them don't know we have it because we tend to not talk about it. So this one in particular, I have found where when it's mentioned, oftentimes customers will buy it just by bringing it up. So something to think about.
So Kevin, we have a question talking about kind of just like the installation and how you get, the question is enable an alarm.com partner portal. So I think they're asking how you get that started. Can you speak a little bit more to kind of the installation on the alarm.com side? Neil, you kind of alluded to kind of rules and things like that. Can you guys just talk us through a little bit how that all functions?
Yeah, sure. I wish I had one sitting here, but I'll talk about the physical installation. I'll let Neil talk about the setting up on alarm.com. So from a physical installation perspective, typically you have a pipe and a valve. It's open. It's literally this fast. Close the valve. You stick the device over. I don't have one handy here. You stick it over. It's 2 thumb screws, and you plug it in. It auto calibrates the valve for the amount of force it needs to use, and then you pair it to the panel just like a Z-Wave device. Once it's paired to the panel, that transmits the zone list, the device list, up to alarm.com, so it'll be automatically recognized in the alarm.com backend, along with any of the flood sensors you've programmed. And then from there, Neil.
Yeah, as long as you activate on your service package the water management feature. As soon as you've activated the water management feature, then obviously it shows up on the customer app, and then you have the ability for your automation rules. So it's as simple as when a device goes into flood, so being one of the Power G or S-line flood sensors, when this device detects water, close my water valve. It's really that simple. The only thing you got to do on ADC, to get that is just activate the water management feature through the service package. But and then it's seamless. Just remember, if you do take it off, reassociate your rule back in. Otherwise, you'll regret it. Any other questions we got in there, folks? Joel? Well,
Joel, I don't know if you see any others, but I think that's.
I got this a couple times of people asking for PoE on Wi-Fi 6. I know that's been a hot topic, so you guys want to address that?
Yeah, I'll address it. So we're working on it. We gave a few people a sneak peek of that at ISC West. It's a ways down the road, so I don't want to get your hopes up, but it's definitely being worked on. And we will have a PoE version coming. So.
All right. Well, we get a lot of questions. We had to delay 4.3 firmware. Just as we go through development, sometimes we find things that we want to change or tweak or enhance. So we're getting a lot of questions about when 4.3 is coming out. So 4.3 comes out April 24th. So we're 17, 18 days away. And now people want to know what's in 4.3. So we're going to give you a bit of a kind of a sneak peek, right? So the first thing, obviously, is support for the all-new IQ Remote Power G. So that's the first thing that's coming in 4.3. We'll do a bit of a deep dive next week on all things Power G. We'll give you some sneak peek of what we're talking about. People have been asking forever for a silent arming icon. So having the ability to silent arm the system, that is now on the panel UI by default. People were asking for the ability for force arming. So force arming, is more, we'll call it a DSC terminology. So we'll just make sure everybody's clear on what force arming does. Basically, if you have a sensor open right now, when you're arming the system and you have, you have auto bypass, that device is bypassed, right? And then it's bypassed for the entire arming cycle. So force arm is an option. So if you turn it on, what happens is if and when that sensor becomes or is restored, after the arming cycle is completed, it actually becomes part of the protected system, like the protected premise part of the system again, right? So, garage door is open, you're pulling out, you armed your system. As soon as that garage door closes, it becomes part of the system again. So even if it's auto bypassed, it becomes part of the system again. People have been asking, about the IQ Panel 4's built-in camera. So we are happy to announce that we finally have been able to work and added the remote video clip support for our IQ Panel 4. So basically, you'll be able to create recording rules to trigger it, capture clips, upload them to the ADC backend. So basically, IQ Panel 4, which is already the flagship, already has everything you want, now has a built-in alarm.com camera for free. Not a bad deal. We added some virtual device support. We get a lot of requests for stuff like this. So we've added virtual device support for Wi-Fi lighting solutions that are supported by ADC. Just a couple examples, Lutron, Deco, Jasco Pro, iDevices, Oral One, and their outlets and their dimmers. You'll be able to actually see those, obviously on your alarm.com app. You'll be able to actually view and control them from the panel as well. More virtual device support. Alarm.com FlexIO, right? We have lots of asks for FlexIO to be integrated into the panel. So it is now integrated into the panel, including chimes, opens, closes, tempered status. This will not set the alarm off. Let's just be clear. This is a virtual device integration. So if you had this on your boat, on your shed, on your gate, on your acreage, you'll be able to get chime support through the panel, knowing that device is open, right? A lot of requests, for Z-Wave multi-channel. So the first thing that is supported through Z-Wave multi-channel, which is just a protocol, is the alarm.com link for carrier. So they are working, ADC's been working with carrier HVAC systems. So you'll now be able to actually, have that panel connect and talk to the alarm.com, through alarm.com for the carrier HVAC systems. We've had a ton of requests for different options for the Power G sirens. So this would be the 9901 and the 9911. You can now set them up as powered, like as a siren, as a strobe, or as both, right? So you can set it as strobe only, siren only, or, the kind of the default as siren and strobe. We had, a fair amount of, this was a bit of a weird request, which we weren't sure of, but people asked for the ability to see if the power is off on the system from across the room. So now, this is a toggle option. You now have the ability to basically flash the LEDs on the panels orange, so on IQ4 and IQ4 hub, in the event of a power failure. So somebody from across the room will be able to see those LEDs flashing. I think Kevin and I both love this feature because, you know, we do a lot of stuff on our panels. So people have been very frustrated by having, you know, our panel camera that takes images on programming, on settings, on alarms, you know, kind of everything you do. And then you had to individually delete every single image, and it took forever, and we fully admit that. So we've added the ability to easily delete multiple or all images with one click. So you can select all the ones you want, hit the delete icon, and they just go away. Or you can obviously keep doing it the painful way and do it one by one. Again, another thing that people have been asking for in IQ panels for the longest time is key switch zones. So we do now have the ability, if you're using anything PowerG that has an auxiliary input. So if it's the IQ hardwire PowerG, a 9945, a 9309, a 9312, a 9935, anything with an auxiliary input, you can actually choose the sensor type key fob for those devices. And then you'll see 4 options for key switches. One being, you know, obviously maintained instant, maintained delay, momentary instant, momentary delay. So, you know, you could have it, you know, triggering off a card access system, you know, that, you know, an input saying, hey, disarm the system, arm the system, you know, whatever the case may be. But those key switch zones are part of 4.3. We added support for the new or newish alarm.com temp sensor, the ADC S40T. Previously, these would enroll, but just didn't enroll properly. Another thing people have been asking for is the low battery indications on the active tab on the panel. So now if you have any device that has a low battery, you'll actually see it on the active tab. And I think probably my most exciting feature, and this is not a full list of what's in 4.3, that would take us literally an hour to go through. But you know, probably my favorite feature is the reduced boot time. So we've been able to actually port, and again, going back to the whole one platform message, we were able to implement this on IQ Pro, so we were able to port it back. So it's ported into IQ4 and IQ4 Hub and IQ No Screen, being able to reduce the panel boot time by roughly 80%. So, you know, previously, you know, you were, you know, it was a lengthy boot up cycle, you know, but now it's about on average 50 seconds, 50 to 70 seconds for the panel to boot. Your first reboot after you upgrade to 4.3.0 will be normal. That's just as we're, you know, we'll say, you know, rewriting things. Any subsequent boots or reboots or booting up of the panels after being on 4.3, I think you'll be blown away by the speed of the reboot. First time I saw it, I actually thought my panel hadn't rebooted properly. And it actually had. But that's 4.3 in a nutshell. We're actually doing really good for time. Any more questions? You know, because there's a lot that's going to be on next week. But any other questions we got right now, Bo or Joel? Silence is golden.
Most of them are you know, pretty basic. I'm answering them, or just some alarm.com related questions. So no, we're looking good so far.
Neil, I think we should give everybody a 10-second sneak peek on the most favorite device from ISC West that they can learn about next week.
All right, so what you are seeing, so first off, you have to see this full slide. I don't even know. I think. But anyway, so, you know, PowerG, obviously when battery matters, when security matters, when range matters, when life safety matters, you know, really PowerG is when it matters, and that's actually what's on our shirts. So the big thing, you know, that blew up social media last week, and Kevin might sneak one into his camera view if he feels like it, is our PowerG Everywhere initiative, right? So this is a sneak peek. We are, you know, I'm not going to fill in, you know, I won't trademark anything, but, you know, if you think about a hot sauce, that, you know, we're going to put a hot sauce in everything. Here it is. So this is your only sneak peek you're going to get for next week's webinar. And this is IQ Lock PowerG, right? So we were blown away last week with the, I don't even know what the right word is, with the interest in IQ Lock. You know, we are going to introduce a whole suite of automation products. I can say, you know, Kevin and I, you know, we powered one up last week, and then we're like, oh, I wonder what the range is, because you know, we literally only got them last week. So we did some range testing down at ISC, which is I'd say probably one of the most electronic, noisy environments you could be in. And Power G, IQ Lock Power G just performed brilliantly. Kev, what would you like to say about Lock?
Well, I say take the picture away so they come back next week. So no, but yeah, look, it's phenomenal. We'll talk more about this. I think the key message here is we want to extend Power G to more than just the door window sensor, right? And so there's a lot more in this PowerPoint we'll talk about next week about how we do that. But locks were especially exciting last week at ISC West. As Neil said, we walked one down the show floor. It was roughly 1,800 to 2,000 feet away, through all those partitions, all those walls, all that noise, working great. And then Neil, you took one out in your neighborhood last night and went for a stroll. How many houses down did you go?
It was about, it was somewhere between 14 and 16 houses I lost track. I couldn't believe it. Like, first off, I probably looked like a weirdo walking around with a lock on a stand, right? I'm sure my neighbors were wondering what was going on. But yeah, I was able to, probably, it's a good block and a half away, still in full communication, no repeaters, talking to my panel, locks locking and unlocking. That's the one thing that we really see with IQ Lock as being, a real benefit. Right now with anything, Z-Wave, majority of you are having to install powered repeaters, to make it 50, 60, 70, 80 feet. And we're sitting here way beyond that without a single repeater. And I think you'll be very, very impressed when you see the entire portfolio we have currently for Power G automation. You're going to see a lot next week, and I think people are going to be super, super impressed with what we've been able to do with Power G, and what the roadmap looks like going forward.
Yeah,
I know I am.
Great.
Did that cause any questions, Bo?
Yeah, a couple comments.
I say more reaction. I saw
Yes,
a lot of finallys and thanks and the reaction was pretty immediate.
Yeah, no, that's very exciting. We're going to talk more about that, like Kevin and Neil both mentioned. Come back next week. This is a 2-part series. Same time next week, we will be discussing all of that Power G Everywhere suite. It's so exciting. So do not miss it next week. Joel, any last questions you think would be beneficial to bring up? We got a couple minutes, or are you pretty good on that end?
I think we're good.
Okay, perfect. And if there's a question we weren't able to get to, like I said, we'll reach out. We'll do some follow-up to make sure we can get you the answers. Just in closing, remember, we are giving away 5 IQ Remote Power Gs, 5 Black IQ Panel 4s. Watch for an email from me by the end of the day. If you don't receive an email, unfortunately, you didn't win. But if you do receive an email, please respond to that promptly so we can get you guys your product as soon as possible. And then tune in next week for another, there's even more products that have to do with Power G besides Power G Everywhere. There's a lot of exciting things coming with Power G, so we want you to be here next week. Kevin, Neil, appreciate you guys. Thank you for the wisdom. Thank you for the knowledge. And we will talk to everybody next week.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.